us versus them. While we pay to keep our politicians fighting, how do we, the people, rise up and solve the great challenges of our time? We do it by embracing freedom and liberty. There may be no such thing as a free lunch, but this hour is as close as it gets. Welcome to A Free Solution.
Hey, it is Larry Sharp here on WYSL Rochester, New York on A Free Solution. So happy that you are giving me a small chunk of your afternoon. You know what? You might say, Larry, I'm going to give you a small chunk, but you better give me something good. I am. I will give you something good. In fact, you can call in if you want to and talk, man. Tell me if I'm doing a good or a bad job. Only say good. 585-346-3000 is that number. Now, over the weekend, I was spending some time out on Long Island, a place called Wyandanch. If you live on Long Island, you probably know what that is. If you don't, you may not. It's a community in Suffolk County, and in many cases, it can be a more violent community compared to other communities. It can be, depending upon where you are, things that's going on. But I was in a park, and in that park, there were many gentlemen I was talking to, and those gentlemen told me something. They said, Larry, you can see sometimes in this neighborhood where there'll be multiple shootings in a given day or week, that there'll be bad things happening throughout the neighborhood. That does happen. He said, but not in this park. And I said, okay, why not this park, right? He goes, yeah, it's a good question because this park officially closes at dusk. That's what he told me. And I saw the sign. It's true. That's what it said. He goes, but we stay here often after dusk. Cops drive by, don't say a thing. I said, why not? The park closed at dusk. Why don't they come in, rouse you out? Why don't you do that instead? And he said, because they know, because when we're here, nothing happens. That when we're here, we don't let it happen. And I said, wow, that sounds great. This is what I talk about all the time. Community policing, communities caring, communities ensuring that things won't happen in those areas. And he said, yes, absolutely. You're right. That's what we're trying to achieve. And I said, yes, that's what I'm talking about. He goes, but Larry, that's not what they do. And I said, I know. Because another guy said, see, that's the problem. Larry, the problem is they got to have more programs for the kids. And I said, well, that sounds good. I said, but that's not the answer. He said, what do you mean? I said, the problem is when they have these programs for the kids, there's some guy or gal from Boston who has a PhD who comes in and decides what's right for the community. They were like, yeah. I said, they don't hire guys like you. He said, what? I said, guys like you. In this park, nothing goes wrong because you're respected in this community. In this park, the youth would hear you because you've been through what they've been through. They're like, yeah. They don't do that, though, do they? They said no. Yeah. Local communities with local people trying to understand local problems is going to work better. Now, am I telling you that's the magic pill? And all of a sudden now, because local guys are trying to help local young men, that all of a sudden everything becomes perfect? No, of course not. There will still be problems. There will still be crime. There will still be issues because we are human beings. Never have I ever, with any idea I've come up with, promised you some kind of perfection. No. What I have promised you and still promise you is better. 100%. No doubt. Better. If you've had someone in your life who's had a problem, whatever that problem is, who is going to help them the most, who's going to have the best chance of getting through to them, and the best chance of them accepting their advice or their guidance, is someone who's been through it. Yeah, that's what I want. We don't do that. I said, well, Larry, so a free market or a localization platform is a better platform. You're right, it is. But what are most people in poorer urban neighborhoods Who are they voting for? Again and again. Democrats. Are Democrats helping them? Are Democrats going, here's the plan? Well, in theory, they are. I mean, they say they are. So if you're looking at just words, Democrats are great if you're just looking at words. It's true. They do say the right things. I will give them that. Their rhetoric is nice rhetoric. We're going to give you money and save the world and all these things and equity and equality. It does sound amazing. But in reality, it doesn't work. Because one of the other gentlemen said, why the hell should I support you? He said it not as nice as that. He said it less nicely than what I just did. But that's what he basically said. And I said, because I'm not one of them. And he said, what? I'm not a Republican or Democrat. I said, every single problem that you're unhappy about was put in place by either Republicans or Democrats, depending on where you live in the state or in the country, and by them, but not by me or guys like me. I said, wow, you're right. Yet, hands down, so many of them vote Democrat and still will, to be clear. Even this election, the vast majority will vote Democrat. If you are in an urban area, the vast majority will vote Democrat. The last polls that I saw was something like 73% of urban people are going to vote Democrat, like 20-something are going to vote Republican or something like that. I mean, it's insane. It's 3-1. As I keep telling you all, it's 3-1. Across the state is 3-1. In this, it is 6-1. But across the state, it's still about 3-1. So the polls are showing. But the point becomes, though, why would they? For 50 years, in most cities, not all, but in most cities, Democrats have been running everything. 40 years maybe is better, maybe 40 years. For some cities, only about 20, but for sure, at least one generation for sure. At a minimum, one generation for sure. Why in the world would they keep voting for them? Clearly, it's not in their best interest, right? Clearly, stuff's been getting worse. You see the violence, you see the poverty. It's just getting worse. Why would they do it? Why don't they just turn, shift? It's because of what they see outside in their own communities, what they see with their friends and family. They see that people will tell them that the Republicans hate them. So they hear. So they believe. Well, if you think someone hates you, why would you vote for them? Yeah. But you go, wait a minute, Larry, that's just Democrats saying evil stuff. That's it. Oh, no, Republicans do it too. They do it too. The left is this, the Democrats are that, the blah, blah, this. They do it too. They hate you, they hate you, they hate you. So why would you vote for a Democrat if you're a Republican and you believe the Democrats hate you? Why would you vote for a Democrat when Republicans tell you Democrats love you and Republicans hate you? Does it make any sense? Of course you wouldn't. And that's the piece. It actually doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter whether the policies they have will help or hurt you if you think the people hate you. You know, I was watching two very popular YouTubers or very popular, I guess, online personalities. One that leans more right, obviously, is Tim Pool, and one that leans more left is Hassan Abi. So I talked to both. I've watched both of them. And very often, it is an attack fest on the other, an insult fest on the other. Hassan Abi, Hassan Piker, he goes by Hassan Abi in YouTube, but Hassan Piker, I believe is his actual name, as he goes online, at least minimum half of his show is attacks on how all Republicans and conservatives are evil. Bad, stupid, dumb, want to hurt you, whatever. That's at least half of his show, if not more. Tim Pool and others like that, same thing, reverse. How the left is bad, evil, whatever. The bad people. So then why, if you listen to that, would you want to vote for this side? Whether it helps you or not. It goes back to Bill Maher. Yes, I'm actually going to talk about Bill Maher today. Bill Maher was talking to a panel that he had several months ago. And two of the people on the panel, they're both Democrats. They were talking about how stupid all these poor people are for not voting Democrat. Oh, they're so dumb. Why are they voting? They're voting against their best interest. They're voting for the crazy guys in the Republican Party. That was their story. And he looked right at them and said, don't you know why? Like, no, because they're dumb or whatever. Like, no, it's because they hate you. And they were shocked. Like, they couldn't believe that. And he was right. It's because they hate you. They're not going to vote for you. If they hate you, it's critical. They're not. And they couldn't get it. But we have the plan. Well, first off, they didn't, but that isn't the point. Many of them do believe they have the right plan. I mean, they're wrong, but it's fine. At least I'm saying they're not trying to hurt. I would say that. Many of the Democrats in the field, the average Democrat voter, that person is not trying to hurt you. Much of the leadership is. But the individual person actually isn't. They believe they're doing the right thing. They think they're helping. And they can't believe, why won't you vote Democrat? I'm trying to help you. Because I think you hate me would be the reason why. I think you're trying to destroy the country is the reason why. And to be forward, the average Democrat, the person in the field, the person who's doing their job, whatever the case may be, they don't believe that at all. They think they're helping. They honestly do. But I've got to go the opposite way too. There are a lot of Democrats who think Republicans hate them. They hate them. So why to vote for them? Why do I tell you this? Why do I tell this story? Because consistently what I don't see is people trying to change the minds of the average Republican, of the average Democrat. Are you going to change the mind of the leadership that's trying to screw us over? No, of course not. That's fine. You're not going to. And you don't have to. But you do have to deal with your neighbor, with your friend, with your cousin, with your family member, the people who are around you in cities and outside of cities who are New Yorkers. We have to talk to them. The first thing we have to do is let them know we don't hate them. That's number one. I don't hate you. We may disagree. And maybe I'm trying to help you in the wrong way. Okay, but I am trying to help. If we have that conversation first, which is why you constantly see me every week doing the same thing, smashing my head against the wall again and again and again, trying to show you that just because you probably hate the leadership and they probably deserve you to stay, they probably do. The average Republican, the average Democrat, the average New Yorker doesn't feel that way. Wants to have a conversation and needs for us to be together. Am I wrong? You can tell me. 585-346-3000. Larry Sharp, WYSL, Rochester, New York. A free solution. Back with your calls and your chat after the break.
Your business relies on computers and technology to operate. Slow, unreliable networks and servers can cause unplanned downtime.
Yeah, so you're the only one that has any issue with the echo, and that's why I have to mute it for you. So I forget week after week because I'm not used to doing it.
Monitored for any issues, keeping your business running smoothly. They also help clients achieve HIPAA, PCI, and New York State.
See, because if I don't unmute this, I can't let you know we have a caller. So that's why I keep it on initially in case we have to chit chat.
Innovation should be your first call. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Call them today for a free consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. Simple Tech Innovations.
Hey, this is Kevin Wilson, host of A Free Solution. You ever need a tool for just one project, but didn't want to spend the cash for something you'd use just once or twice? Well, there's a new tool library in Rochester where you can borrow just the thing you need instead of buying a new one. It's called the Tool Shed from the Southeast Area Coalition, and membership starts at just $25 a year. Use it for home projects or to support your business. Learn more and become a member at seektoolshed.org. That's SEAC toolshed.org.
Only available in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com. Official top quality tees, hoodies, and coffee mugs depicting the colorful WYSL logo or the already famous Mount Worstmore line of merch depicting Mount Rushmore style are for worst presidents. Of course, you know who is front and center up on that mountain. WYSL official items make perfect gifts, or they're a great way for you to make a personal statement. Locally produced and sold only in the WYSL store at WYSL1040.com.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, it is Larry Sharp back here on A Free Solution. WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. And be saying, Larry, I like this show. I know it's a good show. You would be right to like this show. That would be a smart move. How can you watch it more? How can you listen to it more often? No worries whatsoever. You can head on YouTube or Facebook and follow A Free Solution. We got cool people like, we got Tim O'Connor on here sometimes. Come on now. Kevin Wilson. These are the coolest people up here in New York. You got to listen to us. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's the time. So I know there are some people in the chat who are talking about local people and local communities. And I want to bring it up here real fast. Dave says they'll vote Democrat because they'll feel like dorks if they don't. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why polling is off so much, Dave. I think you've hit a very valid point. Sometimes people don't want to say how they feel when they're against the grain, right? I think you find the extreme example would be Kanye West, or now Ye, as he prefers to go by. I think that is that's an extreme example, obviously, but I think he's a symptom, right, of many other things. I think you're right, Dave. When your community tells you you're dumb or crazy or wrong or bad or evil, if you don't feel the way we feel, yeah. Do they want to come back and say, I voted whatever, libertarian, the right way of voting, when they actually want to vote, Democrat or Republican? I think you're right. It can be a challenge. And they don't, and I go one step further with this, Dave. You're right. But they also don't believe that there can be change. And this is our fault as a culture. And me being a libertarian, our fault as a party and our movement. And personally, my fault not being as forward as I can and getting people to believe it. If you don't believe there can be change, and then you're just going to pay a social price and not get change, why would you do it? Right? They're not crazy, Dave. They're right. But if they believe, if I make this vote, there could be some impact, I could see some change, then they might do it. Then it's worth whatever might happen. We have failed in making that a real thing. Absolutely. So Reza, who seems to never be done trying to beat up on me, says, Hochul's left-hand man. If you honestly believe that, you're not paying attention. You're just trolling, brother. You're just trolling. The reality of it is, if you want the same thing, which we've had in New York State for 20 years, if you're happy with it, good for you. I don't know why you're happy with it. Maybe you're doing well or whatever the case may be. But if you are, you're happy with it, good for you. Vote for either of the two major parties. You will get it again. I guess that, congrats. I guess if that's what you want. But if you want change, you must change how you vote. That's how it works. You have to do something. So if you think I'm the left-hand man, I'm not stopping Hochul from winning. In fact, I will give you guys an example. Some of you may be looking around the country for examples of real change. I'll give you one that I'm not sure I'm happy about, to be forward with you. And that is Utah. In Utah right now, there is an independent candidate running right now named McMullen. Yes, McMullen. He's running against Mike Lee, the Republican. The Democrats didn't put anybody up this year. They just got behind the independent. Why? Because they realize that Republicans hate Democrats and they're not going to vote for a Democrat. The Democrats said, why bother? In Utah, it's the opposite of New York, worse. In New York, it's 3-1 Democrat to Republican. In Utah, it's 4-1 Republican to Democrat. The Democrats finally said, I give up. I can't win a statewide election. It's impossible. So I'm not even bother running. I'll support this independent guy. He is independent, also backed by the Forward Party and backed by Democrats, independents, and forwards. as a coalition against their establishment, who is the Republican Party. Now, to be forward with you, just full disclosure, I know Mike Lee. I like Mike Lee. I don't really want him to lose. Just being forward, because I know him. So some of you may not or may like Mike Lee. I don't know how you feel about him. I know him. I've met him more than once. I've been on stage with him at Freedom Fest. I'm not happy about the fact that he might lose. With that in mind, he might lose. That's insane. But he might. In a 4-1 Republican and Democrat state, it is actually possible that Mike Lee will lose. Why do I tell you that? Because that was my plan here in New York State, for Republicans to stop trying and instead back me, a libertarian, to be backed by all of the other parties so we can create a coalition against the establishment. In this case, Hochul. I was following a model that was working. Everything I tell you has a model that's worked in the past. I never just make stuff up. So for a reason to go, Hochul's left-hand man, just shows how ignorant you are, my friend. I'm glad you're listening or watching, whatever you're doing. I'm glad you are. Please stay with me, because if I can turn a guy like you, you can turn others. The answer is always the same. The local people create a coalition against the establishment, or the establishment wins. You might go, but Larry, the Republicans are different this time. No. This will make some of you Republicans unhappy. I know. Remember something. Both of the people running, both of them, are being paid by you. You are paying them to run for office. You're paying them to campaign. And they've both been in government, local and at the state level, and in the case of Zeldin at the national level, for at least the past 12 years. Both of them. She's been in longer, over 20 years. Every problem you hate, every issue you're worried about, they put into place. They are the establishment. Without question, they are the establishment. And I'm the bad guy? You might want to change your tune on that one. That's all I'm saying. You might want to change your tune on that one. So yes. Anyway, thank you for your response, Reza. I will always take even negative comments. Kevin says, the best thing I think you can do in your position is to celebrate regular people who are local activists.
Joe Schenectady.
While at the same time stirring up Team America tour and sponsor local activists. I think you're right about local, Kevin, and I do it often, right? I do it constantly. I'm always talking about local. If you notice what I do whenever I travel, I always go to local businesses, local wineries, vape shops, diners. I always sponsor local. And the last thing I'll tell you about that is in 2019, after I got ballot access for my Libertarian Party, we had 107 local victories in 2019. And that was partly due to me, not all me, please. I'm not taking all the credit at all. But to Kevin's point, I did do my part by going out there and rallying for them, raising money for them, supporting them in the press, all of those things. I agree completely. He goes on to say, that's actually why I think we should vote for Zeldin. We want to affect elections as a third party to American movement. That's what I say anyway. I don't know why you would think you would want to vote for Zeldin when, to be forward with you guys, Zeldin's the guy who literally sued me off the ballot. He doesn't want third party. I don't mean to be flippant, but I take your point. Lots of people believe that. Here's the reality. He thought he might lose his seat in the redistricting. So he decided to run for governor to grift his way out of a bad situation. Well done. He raised $12 billion, gave it to a bunch of his friends. He knows he's going to lose by at least 10 points. That's going to happen. And then he'll go off and be a lobbyist or be a part of an expensive law firm. He will have a great cushy job at the end, Kevin. He won't be here. I will. I was last time, and I'm here again. So if you don't vote for me, vote for Zeldin, you're rewarding his bad behavior. If you write in my name, you're rewarding my good behavior. That's the question. And then next year, he'll be gone, but will I? If I do well, the press will pay attention to me. If I do well, people will care. If I actually get 130,000 write-in votes, that's the news. People pay attention to what I'm saying. If you want impact, there's only one answer. Write in Larry Sharpe. That's the answer, Kevin. I hear what you're saying. If you actually want third parties to work, you have to have a third party. You have somebody who will listen to. That's the answer. Let me grab a call real fast if I could. I want to grab Joe from Schenectady. How are you?
I'm doing good. Will Schmidt, that's running his comptroller, I
Yep.
can't get too much information on him. Does he have any like accounting experience or anything like that? Because I was just gonna select the Napoli, but I don't know anything about the Republican either. So.
I love Will Schmidt. Joe, can I get you to hold on through the break?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you a quick thing on Will Schmidt. I picked Will Schmidt because I know him personally. He's a wonderful guy, smart as can be, out of Putnam County. He's been a local elected representative in the past as a Republican, actually, before Libertarians were a party. So he's a great guy. I'll give you some details after the break. Right now, it's Larry Sharp, WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Back with Joe, other calls, and your chat after the break.
Fly the flag, stand for freedom. WYSL. AM 1040 Avon, Rochester, FM 92.1 Rochester, and FM 95.5 Spencerport.
The Great Pumpkin Cider Fest at Colby's means fall family fun.
Get to Colby's Ice Cream and Bake Shop in Rush every weekend in October, right off exit 11, I-390.
Get your official Halloween pumpkin at Colby's. All sizes and colors, only $5.99 each.
Then there's the food. Get fresh pumpkin custard,
Homemade cider donuts.
pumpkin donuts, cinnamon donuts.
In fact, 12 flavors of fresh-made donuts.
At Colby's, they're legendary.
How about pumpkin cookies?
And fresh baked pies, apple, pumpkin, and grape.
Pumpkin and apple breads.
And refresh with just pressed local cider.
Bring the kids and your friends for the free haunted house, appropriate for all ages. Scary good.
Fall fun for all at Colby's Ice Cream and Bake Shop, Wednesday through Saturday, 9 to 6, Sunday, 9 to 3, weekends only in October. Don't miss it.
The Great Pumpkin Cider Fest, right off 390 exit 11 in Rush. Colby's.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
What a crazy couple of years we've had. Everybody's fighting. Inflation is causing all kinds of havoc. We have people on television and on radio telling us how much we should hate other people because they think differently than you do. We all need to sit back for a moment and just take a breath. Remember what we like about others, not what makes us mad about them. Most times I feel like we all want what's best for our families in America, but we just have different ways of going about it. My mother had a way of just taking a simple pleasure, like taking a bite from her favorite sandwich and saying, this is good. For me, the Orioles may have a winning season. This is good. Oh, if you feel you want to talk about your current investment planning, estate planning, or life insurance, we're right in Penfield at AM Ginsberg Advisory Group, 585-377-4720. I feel better already.
Securities offered through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors, Inc., AM Ginsberg Advisory Group, and Securities America Companies are separate entities.
The Trappist monks of the Abbey of the Genesee have been baking monk's bread for nearly 70 years, right here in Western New York, just outside of Geneseo. You'll find every variety of monk's bread and many other monk's specialty items at their beautifully renovated Abbey store. Or you can order online at monksbread.com. Your purchase of monk's bread supports the monks' mission of prayer and hospitality. Take a short drive down 390 South and visit the Abbey store or order online at monksbread.com.
It's Turnbull tune-up time for the colder weather. Ensure safe operation of your heating system. Increase energy efficiency. Help your system live longer. Let the professionally trained technicians at Turnbull perform a thorough 13-point precision tune-up on your home comfort heating system. Call now for the next available appointment. 1-800-330-2005. Or in Avon, call 226-6180. Protect your heating system against breakdowns. Save on energy. Don't get caught cold. Get comfortable with the best. Turnbull Heating and Air.
Open Door Mission helped me and my young boys when I was in the need for food and clothing. It was a hand up that we needed to get through a rough patch in our lives.
Be the relief. OpenDoorMission.com.
Thank you.
All Seasons Wine and Spirits, East Main Street, Avon, has hot deals and a great selection, including a wide variety of bourbons and the latest in flavored liquors. Open daily, Avon's home of good spirits. All Seasons Wine and Spirits.
A free solution on the WYSL stations.
Yes, Larry Sharp here on a free solution WYSL, Rochester, New York, 585-346-3000. Thanks for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. We've been talking about a lot of stuff here today. Hatred, left and right, third parties, all those things. Good chat and some calls. And let me go back to, if I could, my caller. Joe, are you still with me?
Yes.
Awesome. So I want to quickly talk about the 4 people on my ticket that I put on the ticket. One is me, obviously. The second is my Lieutenant Governor, Andrew Hollister. Why did I pick Andrew Hollister? Andrew Hollister is from Rochester, Western New York. I am from New York City. I wanted to make sure I understood and clearly let people know that I understand that New York is not about downstate only. Zeldin picked 2 downstaters. They're all downstaters, right? I picked myself from a city. He's also from a city. However, he's 100% pro 2A, former militia member. So I wanted people to know that I respected the Second Amendment, and I'd have someone to do that, to be there, to show that I was serious. It's one of the reasons why I did it. Excuse me. I also trust him.
Okay.
I know him personally. He's an entrepreneur since he was 18. I'm also an entrepreneur. So we're both entrepreneurs because I believe in the entrepreneurial spirit. I believe in the ownership mentality to help people. He's from a bad neighborhood in Rochester. I'm from a bad neighborhood in the Bronx, that we know how to get up and get stuff done. That's why I picked him. I love Andrew. I'm glad he's on my ticket. I wish he could be my Lieutenant Governor. I hope he could win. That'd be awesome. So that was why I picked him. I picked Will Schmidt. I know Will Schmidt personally, known him now for about 10 years, give or take. He's out of Putnam County, which is not got the Hudson Valley involved too. That's another important thing, right? So I did want to pick somebody from that area also. That did matter to me. But also he's had local experience. He's been a local administrator in Putnam County. And I thought that mattered, that he had some experience. While Andrew Hollister is young, he's in his 30s. Schmidt's a bit older, he's in his 60s. I wanted to have age gap too. I want to have everything. I wanted to have a ticket that would understand New York completely. That was important to me. So that's one reason why I picked Will Schmidt. The last person I picked was Sean Hayes. Sean Hayes is a lawyer. He's a former Democrat. So the other 2 guys, Andrew Hollister and Will Schmidt, are both former Republicans. And Sean Hayes is a former Democrat. And I picked that because, again, I wanted to have an AG who not only understood criminal justice, but Sean Hayes is an international business lawyer. So he understands business. I wanted to make sure that was good. And he'd also run locally in Manhattan as a Democrat, as Will Schmidt had run locally as a Republican. And by the way, so had Andrew Hollister. He ran in Rochester as a Republican. Sean Hayes ran as Democrat. So I thought very clearly what I was doing when I picked my ticket. I wanted people to know that I was serious, that I cared about New York State, that I was picking people who had experience, that I was grabbing both sides, that it wasn't just Democrat light or Republican light, that it was both. So I hope I answered your question, Joe. Did I?
Yeah. Sean Hayes, I thought was in New Haven, Connecticut, though. I looked him up, and I saw that he was in the New Haven area, running for mayor or something.
He was in Manhattan. But once we got thrown off the ballot, Sean Hayes left the state. Sadly,
well,
how
hopefully
so many others are doing the same
there.
thing.
That'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, he left the state.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Of course, absolutely. I'll answer all the questions. I appreciate it, Joe. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah. Bye.
So I hope that everything I'm doing that you're hearing, why in the world would I do this? Every week, come on the show and share myself with you and let you beat me up or call in and do whatever you want on the show. Why do I do that? Well, to be fair with you, I started doing this because of Giuliani. Yes, Giuliani, the former mayor of New York City. And I know some of you love him, some of you hate him. I know, but I'm telling you the truth anyway. He used to do a weekly show in New York City every Thursday on WOR radio, 7:10 a.m. He used to do that back in the day in New York City. And I remember how people used to call in. He would ask questions, he would answer questions, and it made Rudy Giuliani very human to me. I was living in the city then too, and I remember it. I felt like, oh, he's like one of us, is what I felt. And I kind of understood where his head was. And I wanted to copy that kind of thing because actually when he left, when Bloomberg came in, Bloomberg kept it. He realized it was a good idea. Bloomberg did it too. I know a little bit of things like, hey, there's a stop sign that's knocked down in Brooklyn on 4th Street. Oh my God, what happened? Oh, it is? Oh my God. And then he'd send guys to fix it. It was that kind of thing. And I loved it. So I wanted to copy it. But also, some of you may think I'm wrong, but I don't want you to think that I'm bad or untrustworthy. And I also want to know that just because I talk the talk isn't enough. I have to walk the walk too. It's why I do all these things live. It's why I do them just like this, because I want you to know that I'm not just saying stuff to you that I wouldn't say to somebody else. Whatever I say to you, it's here. Everyone can just look at it and go, Larry said this thing. Yeah, because I said it, because I meant it. No notes. I just talk. I take questions. I take phones, whoever comes in, because I want you to know who I am and why and how I think the way I think. I hope that was clear. So thanks, Joe, for that call. I do appreciate that. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. Kevin is still talking. Let me keep going with Kevin if I could, because he popped up a couple of times. I'll see if I can grab him a bit to just kind of wrap this piece up if I could. Let's see. Kevin is saying that he doesn't think a third party is the right answer, right? Well, look. Kevin says, I think we control the state harder if we push to get Zeldin elected because he's a better alternative than Hochul. He will probably lose by a slim margin is my guess. Yes. So why would you do that, Kevin? You're right. He's going to lose. I've been saying that for a year already. So why would you literally throw your vote away? Literally. When you know he's going to lose and you're never going to see him again. He's going to go off to his cushy job. Meanwhile, you're broken yet again. I don't know why people continue to do this. I said 1,000 times. Republicans haven't won a statewide election in 20 years, and the state keeps getting bluer. There's no chance. None. Zero. But a coalition can work. How do I know that? Because it's working right now in Utah. It's working right now in Utah. The opposite way, it's 4-1 Republican and Democrat, but they got an independent who might win. He made up 30 points, the independent. If I made up 30 points, I'm the next governor. That's how that works. Now, obviously, this year's not going to happen, but that was my entire plan. Why would you throw it away? You want to troll the state? Don't troll the state. You think Kathy Hochul cares whether Zeldin loses by 1 point or 50 points? She doesn't care. She's still in power. You think he cares? He doesn't care if he loses by 1 point or 50 points. He doesn't care. He got his money. He's going to go get a cushy job. Meanwhile, you and I are still screwed. Kevin, please, brother, you listen. Listen to me in this case. Stop. Write in Larry Sharp. Don't waste your time. It's a disaster. Should not happen at all. Anyway, I'm sorry. I preached. You got me preachy, Kevin. That's your fault. I'm kidding. I'm just teasing you. So, all right. Kirsten says, I'd be interested in your thoughts on Scott Hershinger's point that the media, in particular New York Times and NPR, have bought into the government's overblown crime narrative, even though data does not support it. You know, Kirsten, I'm actually not sure about this. Here's what I will say. Whether crime is overblown or not, here's what I can tell you. It does look that way, for sure. And even if the New York Times and NPR wasn't talking about it, it wouldn't matter. Why? I don't read the New York Times, nor do I listen to NPR. And I believe it. So even if they're right and the narrative is a false narrative, I mean, to be clear, I haven't seen the data, so I may be wrong on this, but here's what I'm sure of. I feel it. And I don't read the New York Times and I don't listen to NPR. So that means a lot of people are buying this. So if it's a massive conspiracy, it's working. I live in Astoria, Queens, and there are lots of apps that show you where crime's happening. And in my area, crime is up. That's a thing in my area, at least. Maybe other areas it's not, and maybe overall it isn't. But I'll add one thing that I think you're probably right on, for sure, regardless of the rest. I don't actually know. Is that because of all the cameras, we see it a whole lot more. And the second thing is, it sells. And in the end of the day, media's job is to be seen. And crime, what's the old saying? If it bleeds, it leads. I don't think that goes away. So, Kirsten, to be forward with you, I don't know if the data is real. I haven't seen the data. I know my emotion, what I feel, that I know. And it does feel like crime's going up a lot. I do see it in my own neighborhood that it is. At least violent crime is for sure. I see that. I've never seen so much gang violence in my area in the past. I feel like I'm living back where I used to live when I was a kid. So I'm not sure if it's real or not. My point would be, if you are correct, and if this is a massive conspiracy, and I'm not against that being true, some conspiracies are real. So maybe you're right, and it's a massive conspiracy. How do we stop it? It does feel real, whether it is real or not. I don't know if that's good or not. So I don't know. Anyway, all right. Let's see here. Sibanaj says, I've been seeing more signs saying save the state, vote Zeldin. And I wish I could tell those people it's just a two-headed beast and won't actually save the state. We need Hercules Sharp. I like that. Yes. I love that. Maybe you need a sign. Joseph says, not everyone who's Republican won't vote for a Democrat and vice versa. I agree, Joseph. I think there is, look, the reality of it is many people will pick a side because they feel closer to the side, but they aren't very loyal to that side. That's true. If you lean left and you want to vote in primaries, you'll probably register as Democrat, even if you're not really all in with Democrats. If you lean right, you'll probably, register as a Republican if you want to vote in primaries, even though you don't believe in everything Republicans believe in. That's true. Those people, I think, really could swap, right? Because they only lean a certain way. But if you are a proud conservative or a proud progressive, the odds of you going the opposite, slim, right? Slim. So I think that's the issue. Joseph says, for example, I'm a Republican, but I happen to like the comptroller because he's good with payroll distribution. Well, there we go. But Joseph, you listen to this show. You've listened to my other shows. You and I have gone back and forth in the past, right? So clearly you're someone who's open-minded enough to not just go, I'm the thing and I'm the thing. That's not you. You lean Republican, obviously, because you're Republican, but you're open to hearing. We need more people like you, Joseph. I hope I can get more people to think whatever is the right answer is the right answer, right? Not just I'm part of Team Blue or Team Red. I hope we swap back and forth. The more we do that, look, the more you swap your vote, the more your team will have to actually be a good team. Otherwise, all they do is say, I'm not the other. And that's the critical piece. I want them helping us, not themselves. 585-346-3000 is the number here on A Free Solution. Larry Sharp, WYSL, Rochester, New York, back with your calls and your chat after the break.
Why do businesses choose to move their website from Wix and Squarespace to SimpleTech Innovations? Maybe it's their excellent customer service or attention to detail. Maybe it's their ability to give a truly customized solution. Or perhaps they just like the fact that SimpleTech is a local small business that builds great relationships with its clients. Whatever the reason may be, you can rest assured knowing that the local team at SimpleTech has your best interest in mind when building or updating your website. They're hands-on and love helping customers achieve their goals. But don't take my word for it. They've won the best in Rochester 8 years in a row and have an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. If your website doesn't match your dreams or isn't achieving your goals, give the professionals at SimpleTech Innovations a call today for a consultation at 585-200-3182. That's 585-200-3182. SimpleTech Innovations.
As a veteran of the United States military, I can finally get the opportunity to enjoy special events, things that we couldn't afford, thanks to VetTix. Every empty seat at a concert, a game, or a play is a missed opportunity to say thanks to a veteran and service member. We can give our veterans a special event where they too can create their own cherished memories. Visit vettix.org. Find out how you can make a difference in a veteran's life.
WYSL. Getting podcasts of your favorite WYSL shows is easier and better than ever. Use your favorite device, PC, mobile, or tablet to visit WYSL1040.com. Simply click on the podcast tab to select, listen, download, and share instantly. Works great with any wireless device. No additional apps are necessary. Podcasts of all our local shows are easier to access and play, so share them with your friends. And thanks for listening anywhere, anytime to the voice of liberty, the WYSL stations. A free solution on the WYSL stations.
It is Larry Sharp here, WYSL, Rochester, New York. A free solution, 585-346-3000. We've been talking a lot of stuff here today. Crime and third parties and independent parties and even Utah. I like that. That's pretty good. I love that. So yes, we are still rocking and rolling, trying to make things work to the best of our ability. And I'm grabbing a lot of people in the chat. The chat is very active today, and I want to try to get a bit more if I could here. All right. It looks like crime is popping up. Kirsten responds, Larry, I guess I don't understand how you can make recommendations on bail reform when you haven't seen the data. Does it not concern you that your feelings-based policy is a dangerous road to go down? It doesn't, Kirsten. It's a great question. But if you've noticed, my issues for crime and bail reform haven't changed. So whether there is more crime or less crime, I don't think bail reform is an issue for either of them, right? Which is why it doesn't matter to me, right? Bail reform conceptually is a good idea, whether there's lots of crime or less crime. This bail reform was not a good idea, regardless of whether there's more crime or less crime. My concept was you focus bail reform on first-time offenders, right? And there's two reasons why I say that. One, I think first-time offenders have the best chance of getting their life squared away. But if you've already missed 2 or 3, court dates, they are meetings, but court dates, and you've already been more than once convicted of violent crimes, you know what? You should probably be in jail. You are a danger to others, and you are a flight risk. You are both. And that's what bail should be about. Are you a flight risk, and or are you a danger to your community? So the reason why the data isn't that important to me is because it doesn't matter, in my view. Obviously, someone may think I'm wrong, but in my view, that I would have had this same thought process 4 years ago or 4 years from now, unless things change. I hope at least that explains where my head is. You may not like that, Kirsten. I'm sorry if you don't, but I guess I think you understand that. So yes. Lyra says the Republican Party people are saying that they need to vote for them to stop mandates. If we write in Larry Sharp, we are voting for mandates, scare tactics. Here's things to remember. For those of you, and I hate to say this, what most of you don't know is what Zeldin is actually promising you is another set of mandates. I'm not joking. He will not control the Senate, nor will he control the Assembly. So what will he do? He will simply do executive orders. That's all he'll do. So you'll swap a left-leaning tyrant for a right-leaning tyrant. That's what you're swapping for. So he'll have his own mandates. You go, but Larry, he won't have the same mandates as her. He'll change all her stuff with executive orders. Actually, he can't, because how it works is the Assembly, whenever you give executive or emergency powers, the Assembly can countermand within 30 days. They can if they want to. So you get 30 days, then they countermand. At the end of 30 days, your executive order goes away. You only get it for 30 days. Then it goes away. Well, why isn't Hochul's going away? Because she runs the Assembly. And the Assembly doesn't check her at all. So her mandates stay forever until a court outside of New York State stops her. If a court doesn't stop her, nobody does. There'll be no need for courts for Zeldin. The Assembly will simply stop him. Do you guys think for 1 second, if Zeldin, I don't know, pulls out a miracle and I don't know how and wins this thing, I don't know how he does it, but say he does, you think the Assembly's going to be like, great, now Zeldin's in charge. everything's okay. No, of course not. They're going to stop them at every point they possibly can, and it's going to work. Well, then, Larry, what's the difference for you? Here's why it's different for me. Because if I actually were to win this thing, there's enough people in the Senate who would change parties. I know this already. Why? Because if enough senators change parties, they will run the Senate via the swing vote, meaning there won't be enough Democrats or enough Republicans to pass anything. Therefore, the libertarians in the middle will have to vote one way or the other to pass anything. That is my power. That's how I'm able to get things done. I've already thought this through. They haven't. They don't care. They have no actual plan. He can't win. Even if he does win, he can't do anything. If I win, I actually do something. I already have a plan to make this stuff happen, right? That's a whole different issue. And on top of that, even if I don't win, but I just get a party, they have to hear me. If Democrats were going to hear Republicans, they would have already heard them. They don't have to hear them and won't hear them. If there was an effective Republican Party in this state, third-party people wouldn't have to run. There'd be no need for third parties if the Republicans were actually effective. They're not. If you think they are, remember something. The Democrats have run this state for 20 years. If they were going to fix it, they would have. The Republicans have watched them for 20 years. If they were going to have a plan, they'd have one. There is no plan. I hope that was clear. Paula says, Larry's working harder for you as a candidate than Zeldin ever would as governor. Oh, thank you. Mainly because Zeldin cannot win. But Zeldin's not even working hard for New York as a candidate. Larry is. Larry worked for the citizens of New York and not for corporations and donors. Thank you so much, Paul. And by the way, this weekend, I will be in North Country. Yes, I will. Check out my website if you want to. You can check out also my Facebook page. You'll see where I'm going. I'll be in North Country. Zeldin will be in New York City again, doing what he always does, hang out in New York City, because he's just a downstater. I'm a downstater too. I never hide my New York City roots. I'm proud of my New York City roots. But I also understand something. I get that New York State is not just New York City. I get that. Most people don't. I think if you look at my ticket that I picked, you look at my travel schedule, look at the fact that I do a radio show in Western New York every week. Does he? I do. I take phone calls from people from across the state every week. Does he? No. So, yes, that's a piece that matters tremendously. We should be thinking that way all the time. I hope that makes sense at least. I hope that's clearer, if that's it. He said, I'd rather have someone who is for nationalized healthcare and against war than a neocon. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Jason. I'm not sure where that. Nationalized healthcare. I would rather have more people have better healthcare than have everybody have bad healthcare. And if you think I'm making that up, ask veterans. Ask them what the VA is like. It's not going to be Medicare for all. It's going to be VA for all. What's the difference? Medicare is basically an insurance product. Nationalized healthcare means the government runs it all. The VA. Government runs VA. It's VA healthcare. Ask, if you can, the family members of the 20 some odd veterans who commit suicide every day, how they feel about that healthcare. Not good. They're not going to be happy about that. Or those who constantly fail. I'm a veteran. I don't use the VA. Ask veterans how they feel about the VA for anything other than like a broken arm or something. You break your arm or something, the VA's fine. Anything else? Ask them how that works. I do not want VA for all. I don't. I want to fix the VA. If anything, I turn the VA, if it were me, it's a national level. But if it was anything, I would rather have the VA sell all of its assets, put that all into a fund, and become an insurance company for veterans. That'd be better. So I'm not sure where you're going with that, but I want service people that have better health care and better everything. So if you care about that, write in my shop in November. Guys, thank you so much for giving me a chunk of your afternoon. I will see you all very soon.